back to a breaking news report on Swine TV, the next generation hog hearth with Matt Robbins, Vice President of the IHT Group. Welcome to the program, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
So new product launches are pretty special in the industry here. Talk about the next generation of hog hearth mats.
Sure. So this has been waiting in the wings here for the last couple of years. We've been building electric heating panels for this application for 27 years at this point. So we've had a lot of time to think on what we want to implement for changes on the next generation heaters. From a performance aspect, we're switching back to fiberglass, which I can't believe we're doing it because we're still picking fiberglass shards out of our fingers from years ago. But the plan is to switch over to a fiberglass reinforced plastic panel. It will increase rigidity. We have an improved traction or a high traction surface on there, so it's going to stop splaying or any slippage on the surface of the mats. It's going to maintain or even improve our existing fire rating. So we have the highest fire rated heater in the business at 5 VA. And then again, continue to represent all the other quality aspects of Hog Hearth. So the uniform heat output and insulation and R value. We're excited about it. New accessories coming along with it as well.
So everything new across the board. The last couple of years, you've worked on a new building. You've built a brand new facility. Why and how is the outcome, Matt?
Sure. So we're finally in here as the snow is flying around outside today in Winnipeg. Our old facility treated us well for years. It served us well. The reality is we ran out of space. We ran out of machine capacity. We've been very fortunate over the last few years to be developing a bigger list of customers and some key clients. We opened up a third shift just to keep our machines running throughout the day to yield parts to keep up with production. So the reality was the facility is a little bit overdue. It's the world we're living in these days. We're about 5 months past our estimated move-in date when we started the project, but we're in now. We have new machines installed. We have more room for our engineering staff. We have expanded our lab and our production space, and a little bit of elbow room in the warehouse too. So it's again long overdue. We're also closer to the city. We had our staff battling highway conditions, driving in on snowy days and getting stuck in ditches and things like that. So we're happy that we're closer to Winnipeg. We expect to have some public transit dropped in right away too, which will give us more access to employees.
Do you continue to invest internally with your people, with your customers? What's next for the IHT Group?
Right. I think everyone's aware that we've been working with Purdue State University over the last couple of years on their patented technology for a cooling pad. So for us, we're excited. We've been running trials with some key producers in bore facilities throughout the summer, collecting some warm weather data. Continued trials in farrowing. We have trials planned for Mexico and South America this winter, all with the hopes that we can commercialize and have something available for spring next year that we can release at World Pork.
So tell us about your improved customer service and what does that mean for people?
Sure. I think it's a matter of resources. Again, we were struggling even with office space at the old facility. So moving in now has allowed us to expand our customer service team. We're developing a new portal for customers to remote in. It's all about us being able to react quickly to any issues or help with troubleshooting in the barn. A lot of our calls actually come in the form of calibration questions. So how do I set up my Maximus controller or an Edge or a phase-on controller? How do we get our equipment and our systems to operate with a larger barn control system? The ticketing system and the customer portal will allow us to just react a lot quicker. Chris has been building out our team in the US as well. We just hired another rep. I think that one of the biggest changes we made a few years ago was to bring on some experienced staff with pig production experience. So then when they're heading into a barn to deal with customers, they understand some of their concerns that relate to production or maintenance or any of the things that come up in day-to-day hog production. We're planning on hiring a rep to deal with Latin Am and South America. I'm excited about expanding into those markets as well.
So personally, Matt, what does customer service mean to you?
Again, I think it's reaction time. We've we've been able to build the company up over the last 11 years when Chris and I took over, really by ensuring that we're not leaving anybody hanging. I think a big part in our industry, or a big concern in our industry, is that equipment gets installed and maybe it's not calibrated properly. There should be operating procedures for testing equipment periodically to make sure it's up and running. But we've we've been able to build our reputation around ensuring that our customer systems are up and running properly. And it'll be a continuation of that, but also with new products coming up. How can we expand on our customer service, knowing that cooling is going to be integrated in with heating and lighting and some larger system operations? At the end of the day, you can fix a lot of things on a video call or through a customer portal, but you need to have people in the field to service your customers.
What's the culture at IHT?
It's been crazy over the last few years. You can imagine in our state, we've been very fortunate and that things have been growing here over the last little bit. We've promoted some of our staff internally, which is very important. You have to recognize the strengths of your employees and do your best to put people into key positions. But it really has been an exercise in maintaining our culture while we're expanding and have experiencing this big boom that we've been in over the last little while. It's about empowering our staff to make sure that all departments are up and running efficiently and we have systems in place. And yeah, it's been hectic, admittedly, but we've put a big focus through this growth stage on making sure that our culture and our people are well taken care of.
And the last piece of advice before we wrap, Matt, based on producers and what they need to know with the winter and heating season approaching.
Sure. And certainly a little more relevant for us today is the snow's fallen in Winnipeg. Our marketing manager, Nancy's done a good job of pushing out some messages just on being prepared for winter. I think one of the big things would be to evaluate the condition of your barn. There's going to be leaks and drafts and things like that. And it's no better time than the fall to address those concerns. If you can bring a thermal imaging camera in to see if you can find some of these weak spots, that can be a big help. You want to make sure, again, calibrate your heating systems, your HVAC, your ventilation. Certainly, if you're running heat mats, you want to make sure those are calibrated properly. If you happen to be running heat lamps, you want to ensure that those are up and running and are in good condition. And then I'd say the last piece of advice would be an emergency or disaster plan. It's you don't ever want to think doom and gloom, but winter brings some challenging conditions with snow loads on roofs and freezing rain and whatever else. So check your backup systems, make sure your generators are up and running properly, make sure that you have emergency power there when you need it.
Well, Matt Robbins, congratulations on the successful launch and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Take care.